Today, we're going to dive into a really deep, kind of tricky problem in AI design. And it all starts with a very, very human challenge. What happens when the people we're trying to help can't actually tell us what they need? This is the central puzzle, right? It's the question that really shakes the foundations of how we're building helpful AI. Because think about it. If an AI learns from our feedback, what on earth does it learn from someone who has been taught by life to expect nothing at all? So this gets us to what's called the articulation trap. And the thing you've got to understand is that this isn't about someone failing to speak up. Nope. It's a structural feature of disempowerment itself. It's a vicious cycle that is so easy to fall into and incredibly hard to break out of. Just look at this. When your whole world is constrained, when your options have always been super narrow, it's not just your actions that get limited, it's your imagination. I mean, how can you ask for something if you don't even know it's a possibility in the first place? You know, there's actually a name for this phenomenon. It's called adaptive preferences. It's this idea from economics where people, over time, just unconsciously start to adjust what they want to match what they think they can actually get. You basically stop wanting things you believe are completely out of reach. And this quote just nails it. When your options have been narrow for long enough, you stop imagining alternatives. It's almost like a psychological defense mechanism, but one that turns into a trap. So, how does this very human trap bleed into the AI systems we're building to help us? All right, so we have this very human problem. How does it create a massive, gaping blind spot for artificial intelligence? Well, it's because for the longest time, we've been asking the fundamentally wrong question. Think about it. The huge majority of AI systems today are built to learn from us. They're what you'd call preference-based. They watch what we click, they listen to our feedback, and they just try to give us more of whatever we say we want. And here's the kicker. If a person has been conditioned by a lifetime of bad options to want and expect nothing, they're going to tell the AI they're satisfied with, well, nothing. The AI looks at that feedback and goes, "Great, mission accomplished. This user is happy." And just like that, the person's disempowerment becomes completely invisible to the system. So this really brings us to a tale of two different philosophies for AI. On one hand, you have your standard preference-based AI. It asks, what do you want? And, as we've seen, it just ends up inheriting all our limited, boxed-in preferences. But on the other hand, you have a totally different approach, a capability-based AI, and it asks a profoundly different question. What is possible for you? It doesn't care about what you want right now. It cares about your potential. And this idea, this shift to measuring what's possible, it's a whole new paradigm for designing AI. We're moving away from just, fulfilling requests to actively trying to expand a person's freedom and their ability to act in the world. I really love this slide because it sums it up so well. The goal isn't just an AI that serves you, it's an AI that empowers you. It's an active goal, not a passive one. It's about changing the whole landscape of possibilities for a person. And there's actually a formal metric for this. It's called ICCEA power. I know, the full name is a total mouthful, but the basic idea is what matters. Instead of asking what goal you have, it tries to measure the effective number of all possible goals you could achieve. So it doesn't matter if you've never even thought about owning a house. This metric would see your inability to do so as a limit on your overall power. Now, this isn't some brand new idea just pulled out of a hat. It's actually grounded in the Nobel Prize-winning work of the economist Amartya Sen. He argued that real development isn't just about money. It's about removing the things that leave people with no real choices. It's all about expanding what people are capable of. So, what would this actually look like in the real world? Well, an AI built on this idea wouldn't just sit around waiting for you to tell it what to do. It might proactively show you new options, help remove obstacles in your way, give you useful information, or even help you think through problems better. And crucially, it would be careful. It would avoid making big, permanent changes and would always ask for your okay before doing something major. Okay, but you can probably see the problem here, right? This great new approach creates its own really tricky ethical problem. If you stop listening to what people explicitly say they want, you run a huge risk of falling right into the paternalism trap. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The phrase, "we know what's best for you," is basically the oldest excuse for tyranny in the book. So how does a capability-focused AI avoid becoming, an overbearing parent? Or worse, a dictator? The core analogy here is it's perfect. You don't survey fish about water quality, you test the water. This makes a beautiful distinction. It's the difference between telling a fish which way to swim and just making sure the water itself is healthy enough for the fish to swim anywhere it wants to go. One is about control, the other is about capability. And that right there is the very fine line this whole approach tries to walk. It's all about the distinction between enabling someone's potential and enforcing a specific outcome. So the absolute core principle is this. The goal is to expand the set of things a person can do, never to dictate what they should do. The AI's job is just to open doors, not to push you through any particular one. It's all about increasing your freedom and then getting out of the way so you can use it. But that leaves us with one final and kind of haunting question. If we're testing the water instead of surveying the fish, that sounds really objective and great, but who gets to define what clean water even means? Who decides what the full set of all possible goals is? This approach might shift where the power lies, but it doesn't get rid of it, and that is something we all really need to be thinking about.